Hi, Steve Gladman, here to talk about public policy. Today's the 29th of October, and it's the 29th day of the federal shutdown. Right now, it doesn't look like we are going to have a compromise anytime soon, as both parties have sort of staked out their positions and not been very willing to compromise. For the Democrats, it's an issue of continuing the subsidies that are provided through the Affordable Care Act, also called Obamacare. Those subsidies are scheduled to run out at the end of the year, and it would have a significant impact on premiums for those folks that are currently receiving some subsidy. So we'll stay tuned on what happens in Congress, and we hope to get a compromise soon and get the government back open. In the short term, HUD has been making some policy decisions and looking at some changes in their various programs that are pretty significant to the industry. One of the proposals is to no longer administer the Section 8 choice vouchers directly through the housing authorities, but make it a state block grant. And then the state would determine how they would administer those programs or who would administer those programs. They're talking about funding for 10 years that would be flat. So the impact of that would be a limited amount of money. It wouldn't be rent increases, or they'd have to reduce the number of vouchers that they issue to keep up with the increase in market rents. They're changing how they're approaching housing rights issues, civil rights issues. They're looking at eliminating some of the things they've done in the past in that area. They're looking at moving away from funding local organizations for fair housing violations, looking to not take those cases up in federal court as readily, having them done more at the local level. They're looking at, instead of having employees of the housing authority or contract employees do the inspections would be done at the municipal level by housing code enforcement officers. It's unclear what would happen in areas in Ohio that do not have code enforcement officers or their own housing code. That would be a change. They're talking about limiting the time that a family can retain a voucher to 5 years, and requiring that all able-bodied people be seeking work or working to get the vouchers. So look for some of those changes as we move forward into the process of getting an actual budget passed. We're 2 years behind on our budgeting at this point. At the state level in Ohio, the General Assembly is looking at a variety of property tax legislation aimed at reducing property tax over time. Their approach really is to limit the amount of increase that could occur over a specific time or when valuations change. In Ohio, there are really two types of levies. There are levies that are fixed and generate the same dollar amount every year, and they're not subject to any kind of increase in valuations. And then there are what's called outside millage or voted millage that can be subject to, under certain types of those levies, can increase with increase in valuations. They're looking at capping those increases at a certain percentage or a maximum per year, sort of a stopgap or a circuit breaker, as they're calling it, so you would not see the increase on a year-to-year basis like you have over the last few years. Look for the House and the Senate to act on these bills in the next week or so. There's 5 bills that are likely to go through both the House and the Senate. There are a couple other interesting proposals. I don't know if they're practical or not, or will go forward. One is to change the property tax system to tax the value of the land and not the value of improvements, which is sort of the backwards of what we do it now. The argument is that the land values would stay relatively the same over time, so you wouldn't see increasing taxes like you do with improvements. The argument is it increases the opportunities and the value of doing development, or increasing the value of the asset by doing improvements on the ground, on the land, because it wouldn't increase your taxes. So there's both pros and cons for that. That's one proposal. The other proposal is a proposal by Senator Brenner, who's from the New Albany area. He would like to see local property taxes eliminated and replaced with a 20 mil statewide property tax, in addition to a 1.75% increase in sales tax. The 1.75% sales tax monies generated would go to education. So the 20 mils plus the income tax, sales tax increase would result in a fund that the state would administer, and it's projected to cost about, be able to fund about $11,500 per student. Both public schools and charter schools would be eligible to receive those funds. As a benchmark, the city of Columbus currently spends $18,446 per student. Dublin spends $14,222. Olentangy spends $17,264. White Owl spends about $13,000 per student. So the question would be, how would you make up that difference? If you're not allowed to have local property taxes, would schools be able to generate funds in another way, or would they just have to cut expenses to get to that level? So that would certainly be a different approach. I'm not sure of the impact totally, because there's not a lot of details with that yet. Some of the proposals, like the reduction in the ability to increase the taxes through valuation increases, limiting that, putting some restrictions on what type of levies are subject to increases and some that aren't, changing that. Those would benefit multifamily as well as single family. Many of the other proposals are really just aimed at single family owner-occupied structures, especially for older Ohioans and low-income Ohioans. They would get increased reductions in their property tax through homestead exemption and other exemptions. So we are continuing to monitor that. We'll see the outcome very shortly, I think. I think each municipality, each school district will have to do their own analysis to see how much of an impact, if any, there is on the funding, and how much relief or lack of relief will occur to the property owner. So we'll continue to monitor that. The General Assembly is also looking at recreational marijuana laws. The Senate is reviewing the House version now. It's uncertain whether they will take that up and vote for it or not. Mostly what the House version does is clarify where marijuana can be consumed, not allowed to do in any public space now. And it would also allow an apartment owner, as long as they put it in their lease, to not allow marijuana in the property, smoking or vaping of the marijuana in the property, as long as it's in your lease. Locally, we're seeing continued discussions around submetering and around rental registration. The submetering proposal is, the last draft is an improved version, certainly, but the Columbus Apartment Association still opposes it, believing that any regulation of submetering should be done at the state level, not at the local level. And the way the local ordinance is written, it defines the owner of the property as a utility reseller, which we believe creates a host of problems in context with state law and public utility law. So we will continue to work with the sponsor of the proposal to see if we can get additional changes. Ideally, the changes would simply restate what is already been opined by the Ohio Public Utilities Commission in a legal action where they defined what you can and can't do as far as submetering. The rental registry, we've met with the sponsor of the proposal, Councilmember Bankston, 3 times in the last couple of weeks, and I think we've made some progress in putting forward an argument that the proposed proactive inspections really have very little value, but a significant cost to the industry. I think that when we do see a revised draft, we'll see a draft that looks at focusing more on habitual code violators and increasing inspections on properties that they have determined to be problematic, rather than requiring everyone to spend a lot of money to do inspections that aren't necessary. The fee that was suggested of $40 per unit, we believe that will be substantially reduced or eliminated, we hope. There's no justification for that amount of fee to implement a simple registration process. So we'll continue to monitor that, excuse me, and keep you apprised of any changes that occur. If you have any questions, you can call me, Steve Gladman. My number is 614-286-6002, or you can call Laura Swanson at the Columbus Apartment Association and express your concerns, and we'll get back with you. As things develop, we'll keep you informed, and again, if you have any questions, just give us a call. Thank you.